come in muted.
Hang on. Alrighty. Set up something that could obviously set up.
What are we doing now? You on Facebook Live?
So far, I've got it live on Twitch, but we can go live on Facebook.
Well, I mean, what are we doing? Remind me.
Oh, well, one of the things I've noticed is that wow, this is really echoey. But anyway, I've noticed.
Well, I'm in an echoey room too.
I've noticed that a lot more job ads are going up on Archeo Field Techs and stuff than field work, art field work, and shovel bums and stuff. And yet, you still see people being I don't know how you'd say it. It's like super salty and bitter, even though they're like company owners and project managers, etc., etc. Like, I don't know if you remember, because I think you might have commented on it, that post where that person was talking about what was it? They wanted to buy a house. Is that possible? And some of the responses were just so terribly mean. and the original poster commented on that, and I'm like, man, some of you people who are like posting these negative things realize that like a lot of company owners are on here.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me see if I get everything lined up. Let's see. Oh, of course I do. Sorry, I forgot what Zoom looked like. So I gotta get everything lined up. Let's see. Yeah, I got everything working-ish.
You must be off work right now.
Yeah, for 2 days, which is longer than I had last time, which was 1 day.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Perfect.
Well, filling the coffers back up anyway.
Oh wait, let's see. Capture. Oh, that's for when I'm looking at these things. All right. So Windows capture on everything. I'll do that later. All right. And obviously, you won't be able. Obviously, as usual, you won't be able to see me. But I do have a couple of screen grabs that you won't be able to see. Hopefully, until things get rolling. I guess. Actually, now I'm thinking it'd probably be easier to put it on Facebook. That way you can actually see it.
Yeah, if you want.
Alrighty.
Sounds relevant.
Alrighty, it's going live now.
Okay, let me grab it when it goes up.
And so basically, I think we're gonna spend like a few minutes summarizing what Art Field Tech is. That you're like the one of the moderators. Like how it started. Because I remember there used to be 2 groups, right?
Well, there still is 2. What do you mean? There used to be 2 groups.
Well,
there's Art Field Techs. There's North American Field Tech.
Well, there used to be 2 Archeo Field Techs. Didn't there?
Oh, that was before my time as a moderator.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't talk about that, but talk about Archeo Field Techs. What usually goes up on it. Maybe maybe if you've kicked off anyone or anything lately, stuff like that. And then we can go and then the main part, I just wanted to spend 10 minutes talking about what you should actually be putting, how you should be conducting yourself in these groups now that they're actual people who are important. Treat it like you're at a conference or something, and not like you're just posting your crazy anti Baxter conspiracy stuff.
Indeed.
By the way, do you listen to the New York Times Daily?
I do not.
Oh, because yesterday they were explaining why it's important that people get vaccinated, because I didn't realize the large group of people who can't get vaccinated.
Who can't get vaccinated?
Yeah, so pregnant people, pregnant ladies can't get vaccinated. Oh God.
Well, that's pretty common.
Yeah, and then people who use EpiPens, so if they have some sort of allergy like that, that's that serious, they can't get vaccinated. So that's why it's super important that everyone gets vaccinated, or as many people as possible.
Yeah, herd immunity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, I'm shared out. You can run the intro.
Perfect. All right. Oh God, I didn't even think about an intro. Oh well, we'll just go live. Alrighty, so we'll just transition in 5, 4. Oh, and I think our mics might have been live the whole time. Darn it.
Of course they are.
Oh, I think.
Yeah, they're live.
Oh, darn it. Hopefully we don't talk about anything too controversial over that. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to part 3 of what I'm calling how to get a job in archaeology. And one of those ways is not to talk while you think you're not while you're not live. But today the
What
first
one of those ways? Now, one of those ways is to make sure you know all the requirements of what you're doing and you do it right, Richie. Like make sure your mics aren't live, and your video sorted, and do the intro.
I know. Well, the intro is one of those things I didn't think about. But I got everything else in. But more importantly,
Hey,
part 1 was about I believe shovel bums, and the last part, which was at the beginning of the month, the beginning of December, was ARC fieldwork. And now we're gonna be talking about like general online presences, but focusing specifically on Facebook because I've noticed that
yeah,
a lot of job postings are now going on Archeo Field Techs, and I always forget the other one. Was it North American Field Tech
North
Forum?
American Archaeological Tech Forum.
Oh God, that doesn't flow off the
It's a
tongue.
mouthful.
But
No, it's a mouthful for sure.
yeah, but the reason I brought Chris on is because you moderate one of those groups, and maybe you can explain a bit about what that group is.
Yeah, I used to moderate both of them, but I got kicked off of North American Tech Forum, and rightly so, I gotta say, because it was being moderated by, I want to say 5 or 6 people at the time,
Yeah.
and I was brought in years ago. I can't even remember why, just because I was active, I guess, and we needed more moderators in there. But even when I was brought in, I wasn't a field tech, so I was more of a manager or PI. I mean,
Yeah.
I run my own company, and eventually they just kind of cracked down and said, you know what, we want this to be run by field tech. So see ya.
Oh,
It's
really?
like, yeah, that seems legit. That makes sense.
Wow.
But I'm still in Archeo Field Techs, and as there's 3 of us, and I don't know what Steven's actual job is. I don't know what his position is. I mean, he's been doing archaeology for a while, but he's
Yeah.
probably at least a crew chief. But I honestly don't know what he does.
Well, I mean, about a
I know
house.
Kate. Well, that must mean he's a PI, right? Owns a
Maybe.
company. Yeah. No. And Katie, I know she went to grad school. She's out and she was doing a lot of like project managing and PI and stuff like that. So none of us are actually field techs either. And it's called Archeo Field Techs. But the group over the years, I think, has molded it or morphed into more than just a field tech group. I mean, it really
Yeah.
is a CRM group, and it's probably one of the most prolific CRM groups, unless there's others that I'm just not in. But there's so much activity in there on lots of different things, like the topic we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, because I have noticed. I mean, I don't know if anyone else who pays attention to Archeo Field Techs has noticed, but I feel like I'm seeing more jobs that aren't appearing on like the quote unquote traditional traditional outlets, namely Shovel Bums and Arc Fieldwork.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that happened like I don't know within like the past. I want to say at least this summer. It like really ramped up.
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely be more aware of that than me, because we don't approve posts. So you're definitely paying attention to the job post because you're looking for work. So that makes sense. Or you're a field tech, so you're always
Yeah.
looking for work. And
Yeah.
so that's an interesting observation, though, because I remember the days, probably even just a year ago,
Yeah.
when I would get a message from somebody, usually somebody I know, but I get a private message from somebody that said, "Hey, is it okay if I post a job post over here?" And now they just do it, right? Now people they don't even ask anymore, unless they're not asking me. I don't know, but they don't ask; they just do it, which is fine because that's part of what the service can be used for. And I think it's good. And I would like to think, and Richie, I'll get your opinion on this.
Yeah.
I frequently I notice the people that are posting jobs now, not all the time. There are some repeat offenders there, and by offender I mean in a good way. There are people who post jobs all the time.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you see people posting, it's people who we just admitted into the group and who have never posted in there before, right? They just are looking for a place to post jobs, and it seems a little bit disingenuous when they come in and do that. I'd rather see people come in and engage and then post jobs if they have them, and some people do that, like I said, but it just doesn't seem like a lot. But since it is sort of your random one-off people sometimes just looking for a place to post a job ad, have the job ads gotten any better in the last couple of years?
Actually, that's the thing I had to admit. I feel like they gotten a lot better because I feel like when they posted an Archeo Field Techs, or yeah, archaeo field work, archaeology field
Hmm.
work, and shovel bums. Like you just get the standard I don't know what you'd call it, boilerplate. Like, we're an
Yeah.
equal opportunity employer and we're this company and we're that company and blah blah blah. Whereas on Facebook, just due to the limits, because people know how you're supposed to post on Facebook,
Hmm.
they kind of cut it short, which I appreciate. I feel like a lot of people appreciate. I mean,
Right.
they
Right.
might not put in as much info as we really want, like where is the job or how much are you paying and is it per
Hmm.
diem or double bunking or whatever. But still, at least they keep it short. You don't have to scroll through like a bajillion paragraphs.
Oh, there's nothing worse than seeing even on regular job postings on like shovel bones and stuff, there's nothing worse than having to scroll through, 5 paragraphs on how awesome of a company and how they're sustainable they are. Like, I really don't care at this point, right? Like,
No
just
one
get to the
does.
job.
Exactly.
Yeah. If it looks like a job I might apply for, then I might care what kind of company you are,
Yeah.
right? But I want to know, what's the position? Am I even qualified for it? Am I going to waste my time reading the rest of this?
Yeah.
And if none of that applies, then great, I'm going to move on. But if it does apply, then I'll look into it and say, okay, well, turns out you are a great company or a garbage company. But that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Is it's interesting that the quality of the job posts in your eyes has leveled up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I still notice a lot of new people in there posting jobs, and they have not had the full brunt
No.
of the Facebook audience when they post a job sometimes. And those people really realize social media and its impact when they do that, right?
Yeah.
Because they'll post a job and the first 15 comments are about how crappy the job posting is and how you didn't post what's the per diem, what's the pay. And then when they do
Yeah.
post that stuff, it's like, it's not high enough, it's not enough, it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
this, it's that.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
we could probably both comment on that since we both experienced it in what was it, August or October?
Yeah, something like that.
For a certain
Yeah.
job, and and I feel like the person who posted it was a very nice person, was not crooked in any way. It was just like not prepared. He was just not prepared for the feedback, I think.
I know. I mean, we've talked about it, and it's on the public post. But it was that project we did back in September, and yeah, one of the company partners posted a job post, never posted on there before, as far as I could tell, and you know, really got taken to task. And part of the reason is the just ignorance in this field. And I don't mean that
Yeah.
necessarily in a bad way. Ignorance is a word that just means you don't have all the pieces of information, right?
Yeah.
And we get so myopic with how we look at the world, and we say, oh, I've always worked in Southern California and I've always been paid this, and these are the types of companies I've worked for, and this is the type of archaeology done, dot dot dot, this is how it looks in the rest of the country.
Yeah.
So when somebody posts a job and they're based in Utah, when for a job in Utah, you have to expect Utah rates and Utah standards and Utah policies and typical Utah things. You can't really take them to task for not having Southern California policies or Nevada policies or South Carolina policies. I mean, whatever. You've got to look at it from a Utah lens.
Yeah.
So really, the only people that can look at it and complain are people that know Utah. So
True.
no, across the board, we could complain a little more. Like if there's nowhere in the country should you post a job for $10 an hour, right? You should be taken to task. No matter who you are, if you're saying I want a bachelor's degree in a field school, I'm going to pay you $10 an hour. You should be taken to task, but you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Oh, by the way, not to inject some archaeology or history into this. In 1936, guess what GM was paying its entry level workers, adjusted for inflation?
What?
$2 something an hour. Adjusted for inflation, they were paying $2 something an hour, and this is why the UAW exists. And if you were super high paid, if you were a super high paid foreman or manager or something, you were getting roughly $8 an hour before the UAW.
Nice, big bucks.
Yeah,
there you
go. You just thought I'd bring up something archaeological or at least historical. Anyway, that actually leads into the main thing I want to talk about is give some people some lessons on how not to conduct yourselves online, because one of those things that I know that you've noticed and that I've noticed is the fact that company owners are on these websites or on these social media forums.
Mm-hmm.
And project managers and people who are in charge of hiring you, and yet you have these people posting these what could only be called negative giving a negative impression. It's just is there something we can suggest to them to I don't know, come off a little better?
Well, I think it's first off just a little bit of background, right? Like if you're not friends with somebody who's posting negative comments on your post, if you're not one of their friends on Facebook, let's just say for an
Yeah.
example, you can still click on their name and you can see a history of the posts and
Yeah.
comments that they have made on that group, right? So when you're looking at a professional group, which is what Archaeofield Techs is, and
Yeah.
it's not on LinkedIn, so people tend to not see it as professional, but for all intents and purposes, it's a professional group, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all people in your profession
Yeah.
that you may work for, may have worked for, or may will, could work for at some point in the future. And I think that if you have, let's say somebody posts a job and the per diem is $42 a day, right?
Yeah.
With receipts.
Which is
I
like
mean,
federal.
that's pretty bad.
Yeah, but that's like the federal normal, isn't it? Or am I wrong?
I mean, well, it depends on where you're at, but let's just say whatever the per diem is, you don't like it, right?
Yeah.
It's bad. Instead of going in there and making a comment that says, this is the lowest, crappiest per diem I've ever seen in my life, and also, why would I turn in receipts? That's garbage. I'm never going to work for this company. Never turn in receipts. Never do this thing.
Yeah.
You should never work for a company that requires receipts. You should never work for a company that pays, your per diem as part of your paycheck and not cash. Instead of saying stuff like that, maybe go in there and say some constructive criticism and say, or just a comment and say, hey, in my experience, I haven't worked for these low of per diem rates, and I typically don't take receipts jobs, but what are some reasons why you guys are doing this? Is it required by the contract? And then make them explain themselves. That's a nice civil way of saying, yeah, this is garbage. Explain yourself a little better. Do it in nice terms, and then it puts the onus back on the poster to basically defend themselves, and they're more likely to defend themselves if the comments are civil. If the comments immediately degenerate into nothing and incivility, then they're just going to ignore it and they're going to never post there again.
Well, it's interesting because we actually had we had an email chain about this because there were some questions about what we could charge for expense for the project I'm currently working on, and it was I thought it was a very polite conversation. It's just like when people are posting on Facebook on these groups, try to use that sort of logic. Like, would you say this to your actual boss, the person who's signing your checks? Or would you say this to them at a conference? I mean, sometimes they do. Like, there's always we always know that like that mythical scene where someone confronts like a PI, who they're no longer working for, who they think is a terrible archaeologist at like some conference, and they're like, fuck you for, I shouldn't swear on this, but F you for firing me, or you're not a very good archaeologist, et cetera, et cetera. And that's, we both know that's happened like at real conferences, or at least I do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I mean, the point is you just got to kind of watch yourself if you're concerned with those sorts of things. If you don't, you always have work. Say whatever you want, but it's if you're trying to keep those relationships solid, then watch yourself.
Yeah. God. So, interesting. So if you can't post anything negative like you can on social, like you can normally, like if your crazy uncle was posting something about about anti-vaccination stuff, like how are you supposed to conduct yourself in these groups? I guess would be a question.
Well, and I'm not specifically saying don't post anything negative for that matter. I'm just saying be prepared for the consequences of what you do post. Yeah. If you choose to post negative, well, that, like I said, if you're not looking for work and you don't ever need to look for work, then maybe you want to come off as that person, and it's not going to affect you at all.
Yeah.
But like I said, you just should conduct yourself if you're in the job market, and more importantly, if you're a nice, kind human, and you want to be friends with people and come off that way as somebody that can be, trusted and spoken to, then just, don't hit the enter key. Maybe type out what you want to say and sit on it for a little while. Type it in a note on your phone or on your computer, and then read it a couple times and say, you know what, does that sound like I'm coming off like a dick, or is this okay? Would I send this to my mother or my grandmother? What's
well, looking at Facebook,
what's the deal?
I feel like some people would.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. So, that's definitely true. And like I said, we're not telling you not to post anything. Yeah. Just be prepared for the consequences of what you do post. And then, I think more importantly,
Yeah.
if you're going to post something, own up to it, stand by it.
Yeah.
Don't get defensive when somebody calls you out. Just be like, man, this is how I feel, and that's how it is. Or if you really did make a mistake, own up to that too. Because
Yeah.
people see that. People
Or,
see that when they look back on your
or
on
should
your
people
uh, on
just
your post history
yeah.
and things like that.
Or I was gonna say, should people just treat it like LinkedIn now? Because I mean, Facebook is effectively like Archaeofieldtex has
Yeah,
effectively become LinkedIn. And should you like
that's right.
start sanitizing your Facebook profile the same way you would with LinkedIn?
I mean, not necessarily because they are seen as two different things.
Uh,
I mean, LinkedIn is inherently more professional and Facebook is not. So I think in Facebook profile, if you don't want to necessarily sanitize it, then don't friend your employers. You know what I mean?
I never do.
Um, yeah, but in your groups, in the groups where everybody's at, you need to go in there and speak with a tone that you want to be seen having that tone as. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very, very bad way to say that. But if you want to go in there and start bad mouthing job posts and stuff like that, people are going to see that when they
Yeah.
click on your name and they look at your past.
Yeah.
And they're probably not going to hire you.
Exactly. God, that's actually super simple, isn't it?
I mean, it really is.
Interesting. So, any advice you
So,
well, let's see. How should we wrap this up? Do you want to fold in LinkedIn? Like how like God, I feel like you've said a few things about LinkedIn before. Like I know you're supposed to like post stuff and like keep it up to date and whatnot. Like you got any advice on that?
uh, you know, it goes pretty much right along with Facebook. Except it's from a professional standpoint, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I just see people posting in their LinkedIn timeline stuff that I don't think is not inappropriate, but not necessarily appropriate for LinkedIn, right?
Oh,
Like
like what?
LinkedIn is a professional place, but well, they post I can't think of anything in particular, but things that are not like posting news articles is fine,
Yeah.
other stuff like that, but I have seen people posting like things about their private life on there. I'm trying to think of
Really?
something recently that I saw,
Wow.
but stuff that really belongs on Facebook. I don't mean something that's overly private. I just mean
Yeah.
something that belongs on Facebook and is not necessarily related to you as a business person or you as a professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you should post stuff and comment on stuff that follows along with that. Follows along with that the website that you're on. So I mean, if you're posting over on TikTok, you better be doing dance numbers and other weird things. If you're posting on Facebook, well, you kind of have a choice on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
At LinkedIn, it's all professional. I feel like the news feed and the groups and everything like that, it's all professional.
Yeah.
And Facebook, you have a choice. There's unprofessional archaeology groups like the Archaeology Jokes in History one.
Oh, that's
Post
true.
whatever you want over there.
Yeah.
There's more professional ones, but that's the problem with Archaeofieldtex is it has a very casual feel sometimes, and I don't think that people see that as a professional group. And I might have to make a post about that just to get people aware of the fact that
Yeah.
hey, we have thousands of people in here. While this isn't necessarily a professional society, what you post here reflects on you professionally,
Yeah.
and you should take that into consideration before you leave a comment or write a
Well,
post.
think of it, or you can say, think of it like a conference, because obviously that's like both professional and not professional. It's about the same level like of like social interaction, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. You're only going to you're going to be responding to somebody in a different way when you're standing on the floor asking questions at a forum or something like that versus in the bar at 2 a.m. when you're several drinks in and you guys are all standing up at the bar. I mean, that's a different conversation. Or in the hotel room party, but the hotel room party with your buddy that's crammed in too tight and everybody's got coronavirus now. Luckily that's not happening, but
Oh my God.
that party is different than the company party or the university party or something like that you're going to.
Actually,
just act accordingly.
Yeah. Oh, I probably should have brought this up during the first section, but one of the reasons why, I mean, a company I was working for, I'm not going to mention who, was they had to like look for people, and one of the places they put their ad was on Archaeofieldtex, and it's because they didn't think that I mean I hate to be controversial, but they just didn't feel like the price that that Shovel Bums is charging is quite was quite in line with the with what they get back in terms of like in terms of return on investment. Got any so I feel like that's one of the main reasons why people are starting to move from the more traditional places like shovel bums to like Archeo Field Techs, where if you have a Facebook account and you're let in, you can basically just post something.
Yeah, I mean that's
I mean, I know that's a sensitive subject since Mr. Shovelbum relies on that website for his living, but it's like it's the truth. It's what company owners are saying amongst each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the simple fact is, while it's easier and free to post a job on Archeo Field Techs or any Facebook group, the fact is they don't have the reach that Shovel Bumps has right now.
I know,
right? Like there's I don't know. I'm monitoring this page right now, so I can't actually go over to Facebook and see how many members we have in Archeo Field Techs, but it's in the 3,000 to 5,000 range, I thought, and it's but the Shovel Bums newsletter has like 15 to 20,000 people on it, right? So, but here's the problem: like Facebook is easy to find.
Yeah.
If you're brand new in the field, somebody's got to tell you about shovel bums. I didn't know about shovel bums when I graduated. I managed to happen to find out about it. Yeah. Through another friend that I happened to see. And then I got on the list and, the rest is history. And actually, I'm not even getting the emails anymore because for the first, after like 15 years, I finally shut down my Yahoo account a few months ago.
Oh, good for you.
And I realized that my Yahoo account is where those emails were coming. Now that we're saying all this, that's why I haven't seen one in a while. So, but that's the thing, what's the quality of that email list is what I would want to know. Because the quality of the list of people in Archeo Field Techs is people actually doing archaeology in most cases, right? They're responding, they're looking at it. I mean, it's not necessarily countrywide either. It is, but there's a lot of West Coasters in there. But
the thing is that also you can instantly look people up.
Yeah.
Which is very handy. Like you were mentioning, like you can see if that person might be the sort of person who you want to work with. Because obviously when they just send you their resume, like you're just looking at their resume and they might have had like help or they might just be really good at writing resumes, but they're really just a terrible person in the field.
Yeah, I mean it's an instant background check, right?
Yeah. And more importantly, you can see if you have friends in common and you can hit up like your friends. Like a company owner can hit up like someone they know and say, hey, how is this person to work for? Etc. Et cetera. So I feel like I mean, God, I hate to turn this into like a is shovel bums dying sort of video. It's definitely not, but it's definitely there are definitely other like more interactive places to find jobs.
Right.
Ha! And with that, we just lost all our viewers.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for people, I mean, obviously as a business owner, you want to use the most affordable ways possible, but you also don't want to limit yourself to what you're looking at. So, post on Archeo Field Techs, post in the North American Archaeological Tech Forum, respect their rules for posting and things like that. Post wherever you want. But also post on Art Fieldwork because it's free. Why not? People look there.
Yeah.
If you want to post in shovel bumps, I understand why you maybe would not want to, but this again goes down to your preparedness level too.
Yeah.
If you're getting ready for a project that's going to start in a month, then I would probably start by posting on the free sources.
Yeah.
And if those don't pan out after a couple of weeks, you don't get the people you want, or you just don't like the options or whatever, then start posting on something like Shovel Bumps because that will give you a little, theoretically, a tightly curated list. Yeah. So, but then again, I wonder, like I said, I still get the emails. My wife still gets the emails.
Yeah.
And my wife hasn't looked for a job in archaeology in 8 years. She's worked for me a few times, but she hasn't looked for a job. She just never shut it off.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people are like that. How many people on that email list are just too lazy to unsubscribe,
half, 3/4. I don't know.
Well,
like they're at numbers now.
More than likely. Well, yeah. And how many people on that list even have that email anymore?
I mean, that's true too.
Like I said, I just abandoned my email. Does that knock me off the list, or is it still sending it to a dead email? I don't know if it gets a response back and then, it might get a response back and then, reject it after a while, but I don't really know. It depends on how the list is made. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh God, already.
Who knows?
Because I send it, I have it sent to my junk email, so that's the way I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I didn't want to get too rambly because I didn't want this video to be too long. because I just wanted to give people some some advice and about how to use art
Hmm.
field text, etc., etc. How to present yourself on those forums.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
although just to date this video, are you doing anything fun for Christmas?
Not really. Just trying not to get COVID. So, pretty much we're here in North Carolina, and pretty much all the family things, there's been some stuff planned for, well, I guess years really, because they do it every year.
Yeah.
But most of that's been turned off and shut down. There's no
Yeah.
Christmas Eve thing happening. There's no, the week before Christmas, they usually do something. There's a lot of family local here in different subgroups, and all that's been shut off. So it's just going to be my wife's immediate family and us, which we've all kind of been together this whole time we've been here anyway. And two of them have already had COVID, so they're good.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like my brother-in-law, he's a physician's assistant in New York City.
Oh,
he
so
got
he
it back
did
in
end up
March.
getting it.
Yeah, he got it back in March.
Wow.
And then my father-in-law, I don't know where he got it, but he got it about a month ago. Tested positive. He was sick for a while, like 5 or 6 days. Never really like hospital sick. He didn't have to get admitted. So he really just felt like he had a cold, and he was really fatigued and stuff. And then he pulled out of it. Now he's tested negative twice.
Oh, good for him.
So yeah, should be good to go. How about you?
Oh, me? Let's see. Well, I basically just to give people a preview into what this job can be for like the second or maybe third time in year, over the course of my career.
Mhm.
I am working right up through Christmas, right up through New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Right up
happens in
right
this
up
job.
to the wire. And then you headed over to the Bay Area for family or back to
No,
Reno?
I mean, I thought about it, but then I'm like, everyone's kind of old.
Yeah, it's smart. Good
I know.
move.
Plus, I'm not
So-
whatever. I was gonna mention something like politically correct, or politically incorrect, but or I guess it'd be if you were conservative, it'd be politically incorrect. But we'll just leave it at
Right.
no. I'm not going to go home because I am a good, responsible person who cares about their parents and their elders.
We'll just say one last word on Facebook groups. If you have your PhD and you don't have an MD, then you may as well just take doctor right off your name, because apparently it's not needed anymore.
Oh, I know.
So did you see that article?
Yeah. Which is weird since I thought they were
Ridiculous.
like physicians or there used to be other names for them. But whatever. I guess if you
So
spent all that
ridiculous.
time and all those tears, you can ask the person behind, oh God, what is it, Archeo Animals, how much she's bled, for that to be called a doctor, but I guess she doesn't deserve it now.
I guess not. I'm gonna go in and Slack and call her Dr. Alex right now. Just because she's earned it.
Alrighty.
So
So
all right, Richie.
yeah, we'll kill the live stream right there. Right now. And let me get everything turned off.